What is up, my people? It is Justin with Sillage Scents, and today I have got kind of a buying guide for you about Fragrance World fragrances. I have 18 here. I'll tell you some of the best clone fragrances that I own are in this pile right here. Fragrance World over the last year just exploded, releasing clones of things I didn't ever think would be clone, and a lot of them they did a mind-blowing job on. So we're going to go ahead and get into this list, but as we do me a favor and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. I've got videos like this coming out every 2 days or so. Also, I'd love it if you let me know in the comments, do you have any of these? What do you think? How do they compare to the original? And why not give the video a like while you're down there as well? So, all right, here we go. This is a clone of one of my favorite fragrances of all time, and they did such a great job that in my first impressions video where I did side by side with the original, I was having a hard time telling them apart. This is Armani Code Absolute, Fragrance World's clone, Harmony Code Absolute. Of course, Armani's is Absolute rather than Absolute, but this is basically tonka bean and vanilla and spice and leather, or suede is technically the note, and it's just gorgeous. Sweet, spicy, that soft, smooth leather note. Very, very good job. Another great performer, easily an 8-hour fragrance, maybe more, but highly recommend this one. This next one, this is one I didn't pick up for a while. One reason is because I couldn't really find anybody saying what it's a clone of, but the consensus online, it's a clone of a Boadicea fragrance, Boadicea the Victorious. It looks like either Hero or Glorious. I'm talking about this one right here, Mocha Wood. And this one is a very dark, rich, spicy, sweet, oudy fragrance. It's in the family of something like a Latafa Camra or even Amir Al Oud Intense. I haven't smelled any of the Boadicea fragrances, so I can't comment on that. But what I can tell you is this is a wonderful, chocolatey, dark, woody, oudy fragrance with a hefty dose of spice. It's strong, it's long-lasting like a Camra or Amir Al Oud Intense. It's got that same kind of Middle Eastern funk, that oud note that's in a lot of these dark, spicy fragrances. I would definitely recommend it. It's one of the cheapest Fragrance World fragrances. Even on Amazon, it's around $20. Mocha Wood by Fragrance World. This next one, this is one that I didn't know if it would ever be cloned. And this is one of, I think, the best Parfums de Marly fragrances, a clone of it. And the fragrance is Wajan. This is Fragrance World's Legion. A lot of people have said this smells like apple pie, and it does. I mean, it is cinnamon and honey. It does have a touch of fruitiness mixed in there, something that actually does smell like apple, although apple is not in the note breakdown even of the Parfums de Marly, I don't think. But then you've also got some ambroxan. You've got a little bit of a fuzzy texture, but if you like cinnamon, this is the most cinnamon-forward fragrance I own. Another great performer. I'll be smelling this hours and hours, catching the sillage of this fragrance. Legion by Fragrance World. Okay, next up. This is one that has gotten a ton of hype, and it has been mostly sold out since it came out. This is a clone of La Nuit de l'Homme Bleu Electrique, a fragrance everybody loved that they discontinued after less than a year. I think it was like 10 months on the market, and they just killed it, at least in the US market. But now you can pick up this one, which from what I understand is very close to Bleu Electrique. This is Jack of Clubs. This stuff is gorgeous. You know, cardamom and ginger and lavender. So you've got that La Nuit de l'Homme spicy blast that you get, of course, from the original. But this one has also got a touch of a blue fragrance spin. It's got a little bit of citrus in there. It's got a little bit of ambroxan in there. It's sort of like take a potent batch of La Nuit de l'Homme and sort of smash it together with a blue fragrance. That's what you're going to get out of this one. It's really good. Okay, next up. Another one that I didn't know if anybody would ever clone, and I freaked out whenever I saw Fragrance World had cloned Fahrenheit Le Parfum, I think a masterpiece. You know, you've got rum and vanilla mixed with that fresh, spicy, slightly petrol vibe from some violet leaf that you get in the original Fahrenheit. Of course, I'm talking about Renheit Parfum, Fragrance World's version of Fahrenheit Le Parfum. And let me tell you something about clones in general. And this is even true of designers sometimes. I don't care what anybody says. Some of these, a couple months in, are 100% better than they were when you first get them. This one was good when I first got it in, but I just sprayed it right before the video, and it is so much more rich and vibrant. You know, in my original video I did about this one, I did side by side. I have the original, and I talked about how some of the peaks, some of the highs of the original weren't in this one. But I'm telling you now, I don't even know if I could tell them apart. I didn't do side by side again today, but I'm telling you, this is so good. And a month or two after you have it, it's going to blow you away if you like the original. It is so good. Okay, next, this is a clone of one of the kind of exclusive flankers that Dolce & Gabbana did to their The One line. And this one is a clone of Luminous Night, The One Luminous Night. Fragrance World version is the one and only Moonlit Night. And it is so good. It is dates, and it's got some spice. It's got a real clean vibe. It's got something that, you know, is even slightly soapy, but I think it's resin. Maybe it's frankincense or one of those resins that gives you that same kind of a vibe. To me, this one smells like dates and frankincense, and then you've got some fuzziness from ambroxan. It is just an absolutely excellent fragrance, Moonlit Night. Okay, next, this one is a clone of Initio's Side Effect, and this is an excellent clone. There's 4 or 5 clones that since I got them, I've worn them continually, as in ones that I've just gotten in the last 3 or 4 months. This is one of them. This is rum and cinnamon and vanilla. This is an absolutely gorgeous clone. This is Intro Aftermath, of course, by Fragrance World. It's so good. And what it has in the base is it's either oud and saffron or it's just saffron, but it reminds me of Initio's Oud for Greatness in the base. So it's like a little bit of that sort of woody, oudy saffron vibe with that sweet, rich cinnamon rum vanilla on top. It's absolutely gorgeous and super inexpensive. A number of these you can get on Amazon for the low 20s, and this is one of them. Fantastic pickup. All right, next up, this one is a clone of a legendary fragrance that has been cloned, I don't know, 15 times at this point. Everybody has done a clone of Yves Saint Laurent Tuxedo, and this is an excellent clone of Tuxedo. I'm talking about Suits by Fragrance World. This one's probably got the best presentation of the clones that I've seen. I have 3 clones of Tuxedo myself, and this one is my favorite because it doesn't overdo the patchouli. I think that the Moustache EDP, I think the patchouli is just a touch too green for me to wear it regularly. I've really got to be in the mood for it. This one, the patchouli is at about the same level as it is in Tuxedo. You've also got that vanilla, you've got some pepper, you've got this spicy, sweet, earthy patchouli with some black pepper. It's just so good. It is, to me, a formal fragrance that would go wonderful with a tux, but there's something about it that makes it perfect for jeans with ripped out knees and a t-shirt as well. Absolutely awesome. Suits by Fragrance World. Okay, this next one is another one that I've worn a lot since I got it. I think it's been less than 6 months since I got this, and I've worn it a lot considering how many fragrances I have. This one is a clone of Guerlain L'Homme Ideal Extreme. And so the Extreme is, it sets itself apart. It doesn't have the cherry of the EDP. It's still got the almond of the EDT, but it has a wonderful plum note and a woodiness that something about the way they mix together is just absolutely mesmerizing. It's also got some tobacco. This is Supreme L'Homme Extreme. And so it's got the texture of a tobacco fragrance. It's got sweetness from that plum. I think there might be some vanilla in here as well. It's got that almond, that signature almond note that shines out of the Ideal fragrances. It's got that in spades. And it's got this woodsy, I think it's a cedar note. Somehow it goes together. I have nothing else in my collection that smells anything like this. It is gorgeous, woody, sweet, unique, awesome fragrance with great performance as well. Speaking of great performance, this is another one. This one's a banger. This is one, I've done videos where the punchline of the video was, why hasn't anybody done a good clone of this? I'm talking about Spice Bomb Extreme, one of my favorite fragrances of all time. Fragrance World has done it with Mark and Victor Oud Spice Extreme, and they did a fantastic job. This is tobacco and woods with a touch of a citrusy vibe with a big old dose of vanilla and a bunch of spices, cinnamon and nutmeg, a whole bunch of spiciness. This one smells, probably in the 85% similar realm. It's not one for one. There's a little more vanilla, a little more sweetness off the top, and maybe a touch more fruitiness. So out of the ones that I've mentioned, this one I'm highlighting the fact that there are some notable differences. Even when I go down to skin, there is a synthetic vibe about this one that I could immediately tell it apart from the original. However, I will tell you this. I love this fragrance. I don't know if you can see. I mean, I've put a good dent in it. I've only had this for about 3 months. I've worn it probably, once a week or so, something like that since I got it. It's a great fragrance. It's a great pickup. If you love Spice Bomb Extreme, you're going to love this one, even though there are some differences. Okay, next up, this is one that, this was one that I looked for a long time before I found it, because it would be sold out everywhere. You'd have some random website you never heard of with it. But now it's a lot more available than it used to be, although it's still not that easy to find. This is a clone of Stronger With You Absolutely. This is Proud of You Absolute. This fragrance is Stronger With You with booze added in. I mean, that's basically what it smells like. You've got that vanilla, tonka bean, woody kind of a vibe. You've got that chestnut note, and then you've got a good dose of, I think it's whiskey or rum, something like that. So boozy, Stronger With You, right here it is. And you can usually get this for low $30 range, and that is a great buy if you can find it. Okay, next. This one was a surprise to me because I was surprised at how much I loved it. This is a clone of 1 Million Elixir, which is a powerful, sweet vanilla fragrance with rose. And they did a fantastic job. This is, for some reason, it's under the branding Athor Al Alam, I think is how you say it. It's Arabic word for Fragrance World. This is Al Rei. And this is such a fantastic clone of 1 Million Elixir. It's intoxicating. There's another one I've worn it over and over and over again. Something about the way that rich vanilla and a little bit of woodsiness mixes with that rose. It doesn't smell feminine. It doesn't smell like a rose fragrance. It almost smells like bubble gum. That rose and vanilla together gives almost like a bubble gum kind of vibe. I love this fragrance. Highly recommend it. Al Rei by Fragrance World, Athor Al Alam. Another one under the branding of Athor Al Alam. I might be saying that completely wrong. This is a clone of another one of these hype beast fragrances that deserves the hype that it gets. Givenchy Gentleman Reserve Privé, which was basically a boozy version of something like the Gentleman EDP. And so this is Fragrance World's version Al Fakir. And so this has got that beautiful iris, that lipsticky iris that, the big iris fragrances are known for. It's not quite as prominent as it is in the Givenchy, But one thing I've noticed is that fantasy iris note must be either difficult or expensive to do it in a prominent way, because I've got, 6, 7, 8 fragrances that are clones that are inexpensive that have that iris note, and all of them have, except for maybe one, have less of that iris than the original. So this one's got a little less iris, but it's still present. It's there, that lipsticky iris, with a good dose of woods and a good dose of booze, and then that wonderful kind of earthy, sweet Givenchy Gentleman EDP. It's got it, and this is a great pickup right here. I think it's only like an 80 ml, so it's price per mil more expensive than the others. I think I got it for about $40, including shipping, on eBay. Al Fakir Reserve Privé, wonderful clone. All right, next. This one's a clone of another one of these niche fragrances that has been cloned to death at this point. There's got to be 20 clones of Kilian's Angel Share. And so I've got several myself. I've got a couple inspired by, and I've got a couple just straight up clones. This one is good. I think I like probably Latafa Kamra the best, even though it smells least like Angel Share out of the clones that I have. But I like it because it's so strong, and it's sweet, and it's rich, and it's powerful. And people will say, oh, it's not a clone of that, it's a clone of another fragrance. It's a clone of Angel Share, even though, whatever. We could have that debate another time. This one, though, gets closer to Angel Share because the cinnamon note is done right, and the sweetness is done right. I'll finally tell you what it is. This is Fragrance World's Cocktail Intense. And so this is a good clone of Angel Share with the right amount of cinnamon, the right amount of sweetness, the right amount of booziness. It's going to get you pretty close to Angel Share Cocktail Intense. Okay, next. This was the first clone from Fragrance World that I picked up maybe a year and a half ago. So I haven't been buying their fragrances for that long. I didn't know about them for that long. But this one, maybe a year and a half ago, I picked up because I saw that they had cloned a discontinued darling of the fragrance community, Mugler's Pure Malt. This is Fragrance World's Starmen Nebula. And I got to be honest, I've never tried the original. And I try to be straight up about those things. And I'll say, hey, I don't know what the other one smells like, but this one smells great. This one is gorgeous. It's like sort of a boozy barbershop spicy fragrance. It's got cinnamon, it's got sweetness, it's got aromatics, and it's got enough booziness to let you know that it's there, but it's not an overdose of booziness like a couple of these others would be. So Starmen Nebula, great clone of a discontinued fragrance that you can't get unless you're going to drop a couple $100 on eBay. Okay, next. This one is a fantastic clone of a Tom Ford fragrance that, again, has been cloned a whole lot, like most of Tom Ford fragrances have. But I really like this version of Oud Wood by Tom Ford. This is Oud Wonder by Fragrance World. And it is a slightly more fresh version of Oud Wood. To me, Oud Wood it's got a very obviously dominant woodiness. There's a little spice, there's a touch of sweetness, but then there's something almost like fabric softener. Maybe it's only my nose and everybody thinks I'm insane in saying that, but there's something fresh and clean about Oud Wood, and this one has that particular note amped up just a little bit, that fresh, clean vibe. I think this would be a 4-season fragrance because of that. I wouldn't wear it in 90 plus degrees, but I'd wear it in 80 degrees all day long. Oud Wonder, an awesome clone of Oud Wood by Tom Ford. Okay, next up, this is another one of those that I didn't know if a good clone would ever come out. I know that one came out a while back that I never tried, but a lot of people said it wasn't very accurate to the original. I love Parfums de Marly Layton. I love Layton Exclusive. And this is a very good clone of Layton Exclusive. This is Aniqued by Fragrance World. I've put a good dent in this. I think I've only had it for, a few months, 3-4 months, something like that. But I've worn it a lot. And this fragrance does just an impossible job of taking that oud, castoreum, coffee, that dark, kind of funky, animalic, even slightly piney overlay that is laid on top of Leighton in Leighton Exclusive. I was concerned that a cheaper fragrance was going to just mess that up and it would be something weird or funky or too synthetic. To me, this smells very close to the original, and I think I paid, $45 with shipping on eBay. This is an awesome alternative to Leighton Exclusive, and those dark notes, they did it right. I will tell you, with Leighton Exclusive, I've only worn it once, but I was mesmerized by it, and my memory tells me that the dark, oody, funky notes faded off a little more than they do in this one. In this one, that piney, oody, slightly animalic feel carries through the entire fragrance more than it did in the original, but I haven't done side by side, so take that with a grain of salt. Finally, this last one, this is one that got a whole lot of love and a whole lot of hype, and then it got a whole lot of hate because people said it didn't perform. I'm telling you, I think a lot of people go nose blind to this fragrance and others like it, but here's what I'll tell you. I was sort of back and forth about performance the first few months I had it, but now that I've had this for, 9 months, maybe coming up on a year, it performs good. For a fresh blue fragrance, this is a 7-hour fragrance on me, although it changes significantly from the time you spray it on. This is a clone of Raja Parfums Elysium. This is Fragrance World Imperium. And it's got that gorgeous citrus blackcurrant opening, that sweet fruitiness in the opening. It captures it very well. And then it goes into that woody and grassy vetiver dry down with a little bit of leather, a little bit of sort of a drier, darker vibe. And the thing about it is this fragrance, the sweet citrus blast only lasts the first couple hours, and then you go down into the dry down, like every fragrance in the world pretty much. And so this one is it lasts me 7 hours, but the citrus is a volatile fragrance molecule. It flies off the first couple hours, and then those last 5 hours, you're going to get more of that sort of woody, grassy vetiver vibe. You can get this for around $20 to $22, even on Amazon. I think it's an awesome pickup, a great clone of Elysium. So that has been 18, but I would love to hear from you down in the comments. What are your favorite clones from Fragrance World? Or maybe you've got a clone from another brand of one of these. I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Remember to give the video a like and sub to the channel if you haven't done that yet. I'm Justin. This is Sillage Scents.